Hey guys, Hastings here, and welcome to episode 3 of Rapid Racing. And to start things off, I've got a bit of a confession to make, sort of, kind of thing. I have actually lost the audio file for the build which I've recorded prior to this. At the moment, you're hearing me now talking, I've got everything filmed, the races are done, and I'm just commentating over the top of it. Normally I live com this section here where I build the car. I did do that at the time, but for some reason it just didn't save. I don't know what happened, but I haven't got the audio file. I used the randomizer app on my phone to select a class as always, and I set the timer, added everything like I did in the first 2 episodes, and like I will carry on doing throughout the series. So it's going to be slightly different for this episode. You can probably tell by the class filters that I'm selecting. The spinner on the spinner app randomizer selection thing gave us a class car to choose. So you can just see me now just browsing through, sort of seeing what car to use. I was very tempted by that Aston Martin Vanquish, but as it already started out in A class, there wasn't going to be a huge amount of room for upgrades. Excuse me. But I did decide to eventually use that car, that one there. I'm not really sure what I'm doing with the cursor now. It's quite weird watching this bit back. I normally just sort of commentate over this as I do it. I'll just talk through what I'm doing. I'm thinking what I might do. Yeah, I think I'm gonna speed up the 5-minute thing. Just because I haven't got my live reactions with it. It wouldn't be as entertaining, or with me talking over the top, sort of post-com, as it were. It's not the most interesting section to watch anyway, so I'll just speed up the build and I'll talk over it a little bit more, but obviously at a faster rate. Going into the upgrades, the first thing that I generally do when I build a car is do the tyres. I'll pretty much build the cars in roughly the same manner for each time that I build a car, depending on the car specifics, but generally I go through the tyres first, see what the best tyres we can get on. And then, crikey, that is going quickly. I've already sped up through the doing all the drivetrain upgrades. Actually, I don't think I did do that first because I was going to have a look, see if I had to do an engine swap. So I've put the tyres on, and I've also gone and done the rest of the handling parts finally with the weight distribution and just not the full roll cage, but the sort of roll cage upgrade, the middle one. I then decided to initially not put the front aero on, and then decided actually I would put full aero on, so I put the rear wing on as well as the front splitter as well. And this is actually the first time I've sped up a video before. This is quite weird. I think I've turned the game volume down sufficiently, at least I hope I have. I previewed it a second ago and the game sounds were so weird. One thing that I do that does make me think about watching these sort of sped up video is, boy, I wish the menus were this quick. They take so long when you're actually going through it in game. I think the Forza 4 menus were so much quicker. You can see I've already built up the car. I'm on up to 700 PI. I'm just putting on some wheels, not the nicest wheels, I think I said at the time, but by the time we've painted them red or black that I normally do, then they should look okay anyway. I decided to try and do a little bit of tuning, seeing what I could get up to. I've said many a time before already, even though we're only 3 episodes in, I'm not the best tuner. A little bit of trial and error, and I do tend to pay quite a bit of attention to the benchmark stats on the left hand side. And I've just had time to lower the car, and I believe this is when the 5-minute timer ended. So yeah, there we go. I'm exiting the tuning setup, and applying that. So that's the build of the car. It's sped up really quickly. I'm now thinking about doing this every week, just because it's not the most interesting thing. So let me know what you think. But as we come on to the first race, we started out at the Nürburgring. This was 1 lap around the Nordschleife Plus GP circuit, a circuit that is not very keen to me, and that is the first time that I've ever driven this car. The car in front of us didn't start at all, but we did manage to just about get around it. And as we come down to the first corner, I realised very quickly that the brakes on this car aren't that good, and I must apologise to that Ford GT40 that I took out. I'm initially getting used to the car, but I end up in first place until karma bites me. I took out a car, I get taken out, I do a very nice straight 360 pirouette and carry on. But yeah, I must apologise to that GT40 because I missed my braking spot. I haven't driven this car before, I didn't know how it was going to do. But we had a pretty good start, even with that little 360 that we had. We're up into about 5th or 6th position after starting a few positions low. We did have a very good launch off the line. Part of the reason perhaps that I missed my braking point, I got there quite a bit faster than I realised. And as the Murcielago goes very sideways there, it enables us to just have a little bit of safety behind us. There's no one pressuring us right from behind. And coming down to the hairpin, I'm thinking about getting a good exit, run up to the hill, might be able to gain a position or two. And we do gain one position as a car goes off there, and we gain 2 positions, and another car goes off there. So I think we've moved up into about 4th position now. You can see there's a Dodge Viper in front of us. Actually, it might just be the normal Viper. I think it's a Viper GTS. As well as a Ferrari, I believe it's the 360 Challenge Stradale. It might be a normal 360. It might even be... I was going to say it might be the 430, but I don't think the 430 is in this game. But anyway, as we come up to the very quick section of the track, a Murcielago, a different one this time, there's actually 2 of them there, one in front and one behind now. He goes up the inside of us. We take the slightly wider line and attempt a little bit of a cutback. Get a little bit sideways on the exit of the corner there, but we have the straight line speed to go up the inside around the very fast kink. We're very fortunate not to run wide there. But as we come into the braking zone for this corner, we get a tap and another tap, and then very nearly a 3rd tap, and we get a bit sort of tag teamed by the 2 Murcielagos, and we drop a few positions. I think we actually gained one as well, because I think I just saw the Ferrari 360 in the tyre barrier there at the chicane. But it wasn't long before we got back past one of the Murcielagos. He must have had some sort of crash or something as we went past him while he was ghosted, and even there he's still on the grass. We managed to take the position. A few laps later, however, crikey, not on this track, a few corners later, the Murcielago manages to go up the inside of us as I go round a corner very wide. Didn't get the best run through there, and I concede the position. However, me and the Murcielago switch places again when this time he runs wide and we take the position off of him. And again, a few corners later, it's my turn to make a mistake this time as I run very wide, run along the grass, fly across the track. I just completely messed up the whole section, and the Murcielago even gets back in front of us, and we're even sort of dropping down into the clutches of a Ferrari 360, the same one from earlier. We do manage to sort of hold him off for a little while until he makes a very brilliant opportunistic move up the inside of us. I just completely wasn't expecting it. I was braking just probably a little bit too much for the corner, and he flew up the inside, and credit where credit's due, it was a fantastic move. Again, we jump forward a few corners, and we are still behind the Ferrari 360 this time, but we gain a position through overtaking another car. In fact, it was the Viper from earlier that we get past as he runs wide, and we take that position off him. We're now up into 4th position. The next clip that we're going to see here is as we come onto the very long back straight. With a very fast car in a straight line, I was feeling very confident about being able to get past the Ferrari, and in fact I did manage to get alongside. I overtook him in a straight line, but I didn't quite manage to drop him as much as I expected, really. He ducked into my slipstream, and he did just about manage to hang on. Now, we're going to see a very... Maybe I'm overstating it by saying it's a controversial incident, but as we come round the very fast left-hander up here, the Ferrari takes to the grass, and I'm braking because I know that there's a twisty section coming up. The Ferrari is still on the grass, and as he rejoins the track, he clips me, and we both spin. We both lose 2 positions, but I stay ahead of the Ferrari, dropping from 3rd down to 5th. Now, when I initially had the collision, I thought that I'd been taken out by the Ferrari due to spite. It's an online lobby, you get spun out sometimes, some people are just like that. However, on reflection, I think maybe if I might have been even at fault. I may have even been at fault. I should have given him a little bit more room. But either way, we spun and we were disappointed I was very disappointed from dropping to 3rd down to 5th. The next race, we're going to be at the Bugatti layout of the Le Mans circuit. A few cars spun out on the start line. I can't say that I know what happened there. I had a fairly clean run. And we're chasing down a Chevy Nova with a rather rusty looking paint job, but we've also got a Camaro coming to join the action, and we're going to try and go 3 wide through the chicane. That did not work. I couldn't give the Nova any more room on my inside because I had the Camaro on the outside, and that would have caused an even bigger position. The Nova didn't back out either, and we ended up having a side-by-side sort of tap collision thing, and the Nova unfortunately spun out. That was a very tense moment, and I'm glad that I got through it quite safe. It was a quite boring race, this one. That very first lap, we got up into 2nd by overtaking the Camaro and unfortunately spinning out the Nova. And from here on, I was behind I think it's a Plymouth Hemi Cuda, and it was pretty much like that the entire race. You can see that in 3rd place there's a Beetle there. And this was actually on the penultimate lap. I got on the curb and I got very sideways, and I lost a lot of time. I even dropped back behind the Beetle. And that was very disappointing because, like I say, I think it actually might have been even the last lap. It was either the penultimate or the last lap. But we dropped from 2nd down to 3rd, and it was really disappointing because I felt I could have even won this race. Through the 5 or 6 laps when I had clean space in front of me, I was running very similar times to the Hemi Cuda in front, and I was closing up at stages, I was dropping back at stages. I think at one point I just about got a nose up the inside, but I just could not find a way past. I couldn't close the gap enough to have another go. So I was really, really pushing, and I was taking as much curb as possible, and the curb just threw the car sideways, and I got thrown into some sticky stuff, or some Forza Force, or whatever you want to call it, and I actually, like I say, and as you can see, I did lose a position to the Beetle. And I must say, the Beetle was very quick. Even without the spin at the pace that he was going, he might have caught me anyway. I may have been able to put up some sort of defence, but it's one of those things we'll never really know. I might have got overtaken anyway. I might have been able to hold on to the position. But that's about it for highlights for this race. We're going to come around the final corners here, going into the left-hander, and then we've got a double right-hand apex, and then that's pretty much the end of the race. So we had a very, very eventful first few corners. Nothing for about 5 or 6 laps. I made a mistake, lost a position, and that was it for the entire race. I'm going to cross the line here, and I'm going to leave this little bit in, because the AI decides that he's going to follow the Beetle into the grass and give him a nice tap from behind. But that was the second race, and we finished 3rd, unlike in Nürburgring when we should have finished 3rd. But this is now the 3rd race, so we're going from the 3rd position onto the 3rd race, and it is at the West Alternate layout of Road America. It's the one with the chicane right at the front, with a quite nasty bump. We got a fairly decent start, but we got taken out by a fellow Beamer. Of all cars, it had to be a fellow BMW that took us out, and as you can see, we dropped a long way down the pack. I'm very happy with this bit though. I used my ghosting ability to overtake 3 cars by driving literally right through 2 of them, including this camouflage Mini. I'm going to keep an eye on him, because as we come down to the heavy braking zone on the right, I actually was racing in cockpit view for this, and he flew in up the inside from my blind spot, and I just didn't see him, and as I turned in I caught his rear end. Such a small car, it's easy to lose sight of that in your rearview mirror. And unfortunately I did manage to take him out. I've had quite a few incidences in today's races, and it was unfortunate that I spun out the Mini, although from a very selfish point of view I can say, yeah, I did alright. I don't mind. The Ferrari lagged there. The Ferrari in front of us is on the grass there. Lagged slightly. I thought I was pulling a long slide out the corner, but that wasn't quite the case. There was a very big lag spike as well in front of us that enabled us to gain 1 position. I have a little look up the inside, but I decided to do nothing of it. The other car that was involved in the lag spike managed to stay ahead of us, but there was this 3rd car, another BMW, I think it's the same one that spun me off, that was going very slowly. Me and the Ferrari were trying to go 2 wide, or 1 either side, or 3 wide even, 1 either side of the other BMW, and another collision was caused. Fortunately, again, I managed to get out of that one. And another BMW looked at going up the inside of us around the long corner, but I've got the speed and the grip to keep and hold the position. I take to the grass to defend, or to avoid a very slow car, and then I believe the BMW
spun out there. I don't know if he got a tap from the car behind or whether he just got really unsettled from the bump. But either way, we have had a very hectic first lap. Coming on to lap 2, and we've overtaken another Skyline. I think there was about 3 of these in these races. And we get past on straight line speed, but he cuts back up the inside, outbraking himself, and then I cut back up the inside again. And we were so close there. There was probably a matter of millimetres between my bonnet and his rear bumper. But I did take the position. I'm up into 2nd place now. And much like at the Bugatti layout, it was quite a boring race from here on in. The guy in 1st position completely vanished off into the distance. I don't even know what he was driving. He was just that far ahead. But I did have a little bit of action. As you can see in the background there, I'm being caught by a Ferrari F50. Now the F50s in A-Class are very quick. I tend to see quite a lot of them online because they are really the car to beat. They're not the really overpowered leaderboard cars, but aside from those, they are genuinely very quick at pretty much any circuit, and I'm taking some very defensive lines now. This is the penultimate lap, I'm dead certain of it this time.
And I'm rather worried that I'm going to lose a position on or in the last 2 laps. Fortunately for me, unfortunately for him, he runs wide going around the corner up the hill and loses a lot of time. So I've now just got to run the last lap without really having to worry about anyone potentially overtaking us. Unless, of course, I did make a mistake, which I didn't. And as we come around the last corner, you can see the Ferrari has clawed back quite a bit of his time, which goes to show how quick he was through the corners, although I was quicker at the straights. Now, as we come across the line here, the AI once again decides that they cannot drive my car, so I'm going to leave you with a little bit of rally cost before we go to the scores. In the first race, we finished 5th, the second race, we finished 3rd, and in the third race, we finished 2nd. So that gives us a subtotal of 10 points. Now, for speed, I'm going to give this car a 3. It's a very good score. The reason being mainly because of its straight line speed, but also it did have good cornering ability as well. It was a little bit slower than a lot of the cars. You see how, like in the last race, the Ferrari F50 caught up with me. So it's not a perfect score, but it's a very good score. For drivability, I'm also going to give this car a 3. Simply because it was absolutely brilliant fun to drive, and it was quite easy to as well. I'm marking it down ever so slightly because the brakes weren't great. You saw that at the very first corner of the very first race. And also because it was just a little bit too oversteery. It was fun, and I like getting a car a little bit sideways. It may not be the fastest way around a corner, but that's how I like my car to drive. That's the characteristic that I really like in a car. But this car, it had it, which was brilliant, but it just had it a little bit too much. So I'm just marking him down slightly on that. So adding those 2 scores of 3 onto the subtotal of 10, that's given this car a score of 16 points. That seems pretty darn good so far, considering that's the best we've had by a 10-point margin. So stay tuned next week, and we'll find another completely random car to race. So until then, Hastings out. Goodbye.